Hi, Ashlyn.
Hi, Haley.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. How was your day? What did you do today?
I was productive and I am painting my kitchen cabinets myself and not paying a
Wow.
professional to do it.
Wow, look at you. I would never. I
Nice.
simply do
Yeah.
not exist in the labor specter.
Yeah, I'm not even close to being done.
Yeah, yeah. I would do half a cabinet and then be like, you know what? This feels like an issue for fall Ashlyn.
Mm,
And then fall would come around and I'm like, but what about winter Ashlyn? She's going to be cooped up. And then it would just be a vicious cycle.
yeah, I've already done enough of it though to where I can't stop. It would look weird.
That's fair. Honestly, me, myself, and I see my house, and quite frankly, I'm okay if it looks a little weird.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
I
How
also
was
don't have
your
an
day? What did you
island.
do?
I worked because I don't have the summers off like some people.
Mm,
And I went to pick my dad up from his appointment and then brought him here, and now we're doing this.
nice.
So, not necessarily productive, but
Yeah. Well, we could have done this yesterday, but Ashlyn told me ahead of time that she could not record until late on Monday night because she was going to meet a friend that was in from out of town. Me being the old person that I am, I was in bed by 9:40. So this homegirl did not text me, and now it is Tuesday, and this literally comes out tomorrow. And we are
yes, indeed
recording it
it does.
now because also Ashlyn didn't even meet up with that friend. She just forgot about us. So,
I am the worst, and I'm so sorry.
yeah.
But this is going to be super fresh. People are going to be like, "OMG, this was literally recorded yesterday," and it was. It was. It is. It is the 27th of June today.
Yeah. So, I know it's been a whole month, but just to recap, we did read Icebreaker by Hannah Grace.
We did. We
And
did indeed.
it is such a good book.
This is probably topping the charts for this year,
Yeah, and I don't exaggerate. You know how crazy I am about giving out 5 stars to books.
and I do exaggerate, but
Yeah, so if you haven't read it yet, guys, Icebreaker is a college romance about a hockey player and a figure skater being forced to share the ice rink. And last month, I compared this because I had not read it yet. I compared it to Step Up with Channing Tatum, where he is forced to be her partner and dance. It is not the same. It is
not the same.
at one point they do partner up together to help her practice, but he does not have to become a figure skater. So I was
It would be funny
deceived.
if they did, though.
I know. I was deceived a little bit, but it was still an amazing book. And there is on ice and off ice chemistry.
Indeed.
So
I
why
have
don't we
nothing
go
to
ahead
add.
and
That was a great. That was a great synopsis.
yeah, I mean that's basically what it is. So Ashlyn, why don't you go ahead and tell us your overall book rating and your spice rating?
Y'all, did I mention this book is topping the charts of this year for me? This is a 5 out of 5 overall, and this is a 5 out of 5 on the spice scale. Because listen, I was between a 4 and a 5. I kind of ended on quite like I really ended on like a 4.5.
For
But
spice or overall?
spice
Okay.
specifically. But I did land on a 5 because, quite frankly, there are lots of sexy scenes in this, some more descriptive than others, but there are roughly 6 very descriptive scenes before you hit page 300. So, and all of that to say the first scene is 8 pages long. So, yes,
Yeah.
I gave it a 5 on the spice scale. Haley, what would you rate this book?
I completely agree with your ratings. This is
Thank
a 5 out of 5 overall. Probably one of the top 5 books I've read this year so far, and probably will remain in the top 5 for the rest of the year. And then the spice, it was chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss. Genuinely.
Wonderful.
Not too much.
I mean, it was very graphic, but it was very well written. It was
Mm-hmm.
not just sex without a plot.
True that.
Because there's a fine line between a smut novel and a romance novel with extra spice.
True that. Your Dad Will Do
Yes.
by Katie Robert. Love her. That there's no play. There's no that is smut. That is erotica to its core. This is a true plot, a true storyline.
Hmm.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, so that's why like I don't classify this as smut. I classify this as a
Romance.
good romance novel that's very spicy.
Yes.
So yeah, those are our ratings. So if you have not read this book yet and you don't want any spoilers, then please stop here, go read the book, and then you can come back. But if you don't care about spoilers, then sorry. Ashley and I are on Zoom. And her camera is all sorts of messed up right now.
What?
So, okay,
What
if
was
you
that?
don't care about spoilers, then you can stick around and listen to us talk about this book.
Or highly, highly suggest that if you haven't read it, don't even listen. Just go read it and come back because literally you will not regret it.
Yeah.
I am not partial to sports romances. I went
Yeah.
into this thinking I'm not going to be into a sports college romance because I'm all for academia, but I'm big on student teacher, not necessarily two students because gross. Where's the fun in that? There's no taboo. But I was wrong. This
Mm-hmm.
book, phenomenal. Again, chef's kiss. Highly recommend. Go read it, then come back. So here's
Oh,
our
wait.
Oh,
Wait. Triggers.
triggers. I wrote them down.
Okay, so just so if you haven't read it yet and you want to know triggers, Ashlyn did make a list.
I did make a small list because there are not a lot. This book does not have a lot of triggers, which
Yeah,
is
it's
very
not a
good.
super crazy.
Yes. There is a toxic food relationship if you have any sort of eating disorder and or are triggered by such. There is some pretty intense but well put. There's some manipulation.
Mhm.
It's not overbearing, but it is there. And there's also toxic relationships outside of the main couple.
And I'll say the manipulation is outside of the main couple. So if you're
Exactly. Yeah.
worried about the main guy trying to be manipulative, it's not him.
It's not him.
But there
Nathan
is
is
manipulation, there is toxic relationships, and it's not with the main guy.
correct. And those are the triggers.
Yeah, so overall, pretty tame compared to what we normally read.
Yes.
And we still rated it 5 out of 5. So
5 out.
now here's the chance for you to stop listening and
Yes.
go read the book. From here on out, though, we are going to start getting into it. Ashlyn, I want to start in like Act 1 area, just so we can kind of talk about the buildup. Okay.
Act 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
You
like
can-
books are split into like 3 acts usually,
Sure.
sometimes.
Like unofficially, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it's the silent patient, which is quite literally
It's just
3 parts.
yeah.
Okay. Yes. Act 1. Tell me your thoughts.
Okay. I really liked that our sweet girl Stassi. I called her Stassi in my head. Her
I call her
name
Stassi.
it's
Tomato,
Anastasia,
tomato. Yeah.
but she knew exactly what she wanted
Mm-hmm.
from men. She had those boundaries, healthy boundaries, didn't lead anyone on. Her and Ryan, when you texted me and you were like, how are we supposed to not like Ryan? I totally agreed because their dynamic, he literally never pushed her outside of what she wanted. Like they were a no strings attached. We're just gonna get our needs done and like hang out as friends. I thought it was really good that like she, she knew what she wanted. It wasn't toxic. It was just like, we are good friends and we're going to sleep together.
Precisely. And I'm not big on like the damsel in distress and like the not like very frail, FMCs, female main characters for those that don't know the acronyms. I'm not big on them not having a personality and not knowing like what they want and where they stand. So the fact that Stassi was so determined and did exactly like you said, had those boundaries. She was like, I'm not getting into a relationship. Ryan was man enough to respect that. And I love him for it, even though it was very clear that he wanted more.
Yes.
And he didn't push her. And it was, I said this to Haley via text, but I was like, I want to read more about Hannah Grace, the author, because she really she did it well. But yes, I agree.
And our friend said that Hannah Grace has another book coming out.
Yes, and
I have not researched it, but like based on this book, you best bet I'm gonna be getting her next book.
Top of the TV.
Yes. So I want you to tell me your thoughts on Aaron in the beginning.
I wrote down all of the characters in order that they appeared.
Hmm.
And I put little acronyms beside them. Nathan has a book boif, and Aaron is scribbled out because I immediately hated him. I was like, wow, I think he's definitely going to be the antagonist of this book. And boy, was I right. I hated him every step of the way. There was never a redeeming quality for me.
TBH, I really thought Aaron was gay.
I
The
sort
way
of did
he was,
too.
yeah, the way he was written, but then like it came out later that he actually liked this girl, and I was like, okay.
It was very weird. And like it was hinted at multiple times that he wanted Stassi,
Mm-hmm.
which obviously was not mutual.
Yeah.
Because why would you when she has perfect Nathaniel? But yeah, no, I hated him. Sorry. But that speaks to Hannah, the author, because she wrote someone that I hated so much that I was like, this guy could die in a hole and I wouldn't be upset about it.
So in Act One though, I was just kind of like, eh, take it or leave it. Like I did not like how he spoke to her or like, joked around with her. But I was like, okay, maybe he's just supposed to be like the out there, no filter friend. Um,
Yeah, I was turned off. I was like, even if you are the out there no filter friend, you're making Stassi and others feel uncomfortable, and
mhm.
I'm out. I don't like it.
I mean, he went downhill real fast though in my book, If you read the book, then you definitely know why, because he is a little shithead, but
Hashtag manipulation and toxic.
toxic, yes. But the other roommate was Lola, and
Lola, 10 out of 10. True
my
best friend.
best friend, yes. Lola was amazing. And I love that even though she did not like that Olivia was getting those parts in the college play, whatever, she was
Hmm.
like, just let me bitch and moan. But then she was like, of course she's a great actress. That's why she's getting the roles. Like,
Yeah, she had respect for her peers, which I respect for her.
yeah.
Even if she didn't like him, she was still gonna cheer him on, and I respect that a lot.
Hmm. 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 Yes. You just made a face.
Sorry. I'm going through my quick I tabbed this book as well for those readers that I'm getting more into the tabbing and I am toning down. If you remember, I think I had something like an ungodly like 100 tabs on my first book, which was unnecessary. And I've really, I've really worked on myself and realized that why was I doing that? It was literally taking me twice as long to read a book because I was tabbing so much. Um, and I was just flipping through some of my tabs. I have one specifically for things that I loved, and I just saw one, and it was a sexy scene.
Oh,
I smiled to myself. Mm. But I remember distinctly, I had one of them. I tabbed one of them saying it was a quote by Lola, but I can't remember what she said or where it was in the book. So sorry, I'm unprepared here.
that's okay. Um, We also, of course, we meet Nathan in the first book. As soon as you find that quote about Lola, we can definitely go back. But just to keep talking, we meet Nathan in the first act, and he immediately comes off as someone who is like your ride or die kind of person. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's the captain of the hockey team, and immediately, like, he truly cares about his team to the point where he needs to make sure that they are all in line, like not messing around, not going to get the team in trouble. Under the previous captain's rule, there was like a lot of shenanigans and stuff. And he immediately took up for Russ when it was Russ's fault that the ice rink was messed up, the hockey rink. And he, like, even though he could have told Robbie, like his best friend, about it, like he told nobody. He wouldn't even tell Stassi when she was like, "Do you know what happened?" And he had Russ's back. And so I think that immediately told you the kind of character that he was going to be, like right from
Yes.
the get-go.
Yes. I mean, he has some real integrity. Like, this man is, I'm not kidding when I say book boyfriend. Like, he's really setting that unrealistic standard too high, because I
Yeah.
was like, okay, first off, and I'm sure we'll probably get further into this, but like the amount of communication that they have between each other,
Hmm.
literally, I crave that. Secondly, he's so supportive with everything that she does. He does judge every once in a while, but like, we're humans, and quite frankly, the judging was kind of,
Warranted.
yeah, warranted. I was like, well, he is trying to save you from Aaron, so quite frankly, I'm on his side. But there were, yeah, I mean, overall, he really knows how, and he was a great captain. Like,
Hmm.
even from taking the fall for what happened, even, and then you learn later a whole different story, but like, he was there for his team, and his team backed him 1,000%, and it really shined through, and I love that.
Yeah. And I think that the way they met is different from how normal, like, school academia books have the meet cutes, because it was not a meet cute. It was, she's livid that the hockey team is now going to be using their ice rink, and she's not having any of this. Like, he was trying to charm her, and she said, hell no, this is your fault. F off.
Yes. This is the epitome of a enemies, friends, lovers.
With
Like,
a
there
really
was
good progression.
a very, very good, like, they definitely, I shouldn't say they. Stassi hated Nate in the beginning,
Hmm.
not for a really great reason. I mean, to be fair, she didn't really have a lot of proof with the reasons that she hated him, but she just hated him that they were sharing that whole situation and the rank
Yeah.
and whatnot. But their progression, it was phenomenal. I realized I'm not a huge fan always of enemies to lovers, because sometimes it just feels a little unrealistic, but the enemies friends to lovers,
Hmm.
I was here for it.
Yes. And I love when the guy falls first,
Yes.
which he very much did. Like, even though he tried
Yes.
to say he didn't have feelings for Stassi, like, he did. And when Henry got in her good graces, because we
Henry,
love
baby
sweet baby boy
Henry.
Henry, when he got in her good graces and they were like biffles, Nate was so jealous, and I loved it because it was an innocent jealousy. We
Yes,
knew that there was
exactly.
nothing that was going to happen between Henry and Stassi, but Nate was still like, bro, stop.
Yeah. And can we just quickly say how freaking precious Henry is as a character?
Oh
Because
my
he,
gosh, yeah.
this little sophomore baby child, love him, and then he keeps all of these things in his room,
Yes.
bathroom, that women may need if they stay over. I'm like, how fucking thoughtful for a what, 20-year-old,
If
19
that,
year old.
19, 20, yeah.
I'm like, this little child is perfect. I love him. I love
Hmm.
him.
Honestly, I would read a book about him so fast if she makes this into like a college series.
Same.
I would do it.
I would
Um,
also read a book about Robbie and Lola, to be fair. I would
oh,
read a book about any of them, except Aaron.
yes.
Fuck Aaron.
Because Robbie, like, that was such a small detail that she kind of threw in there. Like, she did not say that he was wheelchair bound in the beginning. She made a comment about how they needed a ramp for Robbie in the house, and like, she did not outright say it. And I was like, hang on. I was like, is Robbie in a wheelchair? Is Robbie not on the hockey team? Like, I'm confusion. And it was just very subtle at first, and then they started talking more and more about it. I really liked it because it, like, it showed him as still like a normal college student, like getting the girl, having fun, being a participating character, not someone to like feel sorry for, because he didn't feel sorry for himself.
Yes, no, I completely agree. And it brings a whole nother light that this is one thing that I genuinely love about writers and reading. You can write these things however your brain wants them to. There are no guidelines, there's no rules, there's no restrictions. You can write whatever your imagination comes up with. And the fact that Hannah decided to write this disabled love story in the background, but still there, just basically saying that, like, there is no difference
Mm-hmm.
between our main couple who are able-bodied and our side couple who one is abled and one is disabled, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. They have the same love story, and I love that more than I
Mm-hmm.
can physically say, because it just shines an even more welcoming, accepting light of all people that I think the world needs more of nowadays.
Yeah. I think we talked about this beforehand where this book it just hits so many big topics too in a
Yes.
very subtle, like natural way. Like even
Mhm.
just throwing in there about JJ being pansexual and his
Yeah.
parents supporting him, the hockey team not having an issue with it. At one point in the book, he told Nate, he was like, "Well, I wish a guy would just buy me flowers." And
Yes,
Nate
and
bought
then they
JJ
bought her
flowers.
flowers.
And it's not like an in your face kind of thing, but like it's just so subtle and natural in the book that
Yes.
like this is how people live too, you know? Like it's eye-opening if you don't have those kinds of people in your life that you see how they live every day to have it kind of in a book experience where you can just read about it. I felt like it was eye-opening to me too, just all these different kinds
Yeah.
of people. Yeah.
Yes, I would agree. And not to mention, so like they obviously touch a lot on just communication in general, therapy. As
Mhm.
we've said before, we're big advocates here of therapy. Take care of yourself, take care of your mental health. Big on consent. And it
Oh my
wasn't in your face
gosh.
sort of consent. It was very
Yes.
subtle, but in a good way.
Mhm.
I mean, they listen, I could rant and rave all day about how well Hannah wrote this,
Yeah.
but those three things alone for me would have given it 5 stars if it was well done, and it was.
Yeah.
I'm like the fact that it was in the book, it was prevalent, and it was well done. Sold.
Because we read a lot and we read a lot of books that like toe the line on consent and non-consent and if you've listened to us enough Ashley and I don't really have that many triggers, if any, just very
Obviously not.
small. And so we've read a lot, but for a book that highlights this is a consensual relationship, like we're not doing any of that like dubious consent. They had already slept together and he still would not sleep with her another time when she was drunk because he said that she could not give him consent when she was drunk. And I was like, even though they kind of had that established sexual relationship, he was not going to take advantage of her in that state, even though she was wanting something
She
from
was,
it.
yeah, yeah.
But
But I
he,
respect that genuinely. I
yeah,
mean, he
because he
laid
even
his
said you
boundary,
can't,
and
yeah, you can't give consent when you're drunk, which is totally true. And I think that people need to realize that.
I think that needs to be reiterated 100 times over for many, many, many people.
You can't give consent
But
while drunk.
you cannot give consent with any alcohol under any influence ever.
Yeah.
Any influence. You are that is not consent. Also, the fact that there was no third act breakup. We've said it before, we'll say it again. It's my favorite trope. No third act breakup. They did not break up
We skipped
because
to the
that's
third act.
unrealistic. Sorry.
You
Sorry.
skipped the whole second
I'm
act.
I'm just mentioning things right now as a
Yes.
whole of the book that I thoroughly enjoyed, and that was one of them.
I did enjoy that too because this book, I told you, it really reminded me of The Deal by Elle Kennedy, which
You
we
did,
covered
yes.
previously on this podcast. And I really loved that. Garrett was a great book boyfriend, but they had a third act breakup.
Yep. Nathan takes the cake.
Yeah. And so Nathan kind of pulled ahead because it was very similar. Like they were like mild enemies to friends to lovers. And Garrett was a super great boyfriend, like highlighted consent before anything. But Nathan just, he was just that and a little more. So good.
He was a lot more, yeah.
He's a lot
He
more.
was
I
a
mean,
lot more.
I want to go to a Dallas Stars game. I need to see what
I
these
have
hockey boys
not
look like in
been,
life.
oh, right. I have not been to a Dallas Stars game in like 2 years. And it's time.
Yeah.
Granted, the last time I went, slash, mostly the only times I've gone were in a box. So it's going to be a lot different for me to just like
Oh,
get regular peasant seats.
wow.
Not
Okay.
peasant seats, but you know.
Well, also apparently like the Stars are actually kind of good at hockey.
Girl, the Stars are freaking good. I mean,
I
what
had
don't
no
we
idea.
know?
I was like, we are literally in an excessive heat wave right now. It is 105 at my house. Um, so for a hot state like Texas, I was just not anticipating us having a good hockey team.
You would think, but also I would say at least 85% of the team is not from Texas.
Oh.
is
Okay.
also not from the US.
Ah, great.
So
Love it even more.
it's just a really fun thing. But yeah, no, I will listen. Next time you go to you want to go to a game, I'm here. Take me.
Cool, cool, cool.
Matt probably won't go, right?
No,
Okay.
he won't go.
Great.
So back to the book.
Right.
Um, I just don't even know what I want to talk about next. I'm moving into Act Two because a lot happens.
A
A lot
lot.
happens with their relationship, and Nate is really good about like towing that line between like being pushy and just like showing his interest in her.
Hmm.
And like he got on the probation period with her, and then he was on her shit list and like all this stuff, and he was like, well, am I number one on your shit list? Just, stuff like
Very
that.
cute banter. Hmm.
Cute banter, but not quite like pushing her. Like I think he understood the social cues, and he would have backed off if she was like, bro, leave me alone.
Yes, absolutely.
But we get to the part where Aaron is so jealous of the amount of time that she spends with Nate, as opposed to Ryan. Like, was not jealous about Ryan, but is jealous about Nate.
Yeah, I don't disagree, and I never really understood why. Like there's not a huge difference. Ryan was on the basketball
Yeah.
team. It's not like he wasn't a jock. I can't figure out why he was more accepting of Ryan than he was of Nate. And like, what did
Yeah.
Nate ever do to him? Was there ever any sort of backstory? Did I miss it? Was there any sort of like bad blood beforehand that we didn't
No.
know about?
No,
I just
he
can't
knew of
figure.
him. So there was like one little section in the book where Stassi overheard some other girls talking, and they were saying that Aaron had a crush on Olivia, who is who was dating Ryan at that time. So I think Aaron was okay with her being with Ryan because then that opened up Olivia to be free
Yeah.
to date him. But also I think he realized that she had no feelings for Ryan and she did have feelings for Nate, and Nate was monopolizing her time more.
Yeah.
I think it was
And
like that only child jealousy.
um don't know what you're talking about.
You.
I have
Mm-hmm.
a lot of siblings, so I'm an only child. But
Very sweet.
yeah. No, I mean I hear that. And he obviously it was brought about that he did not come from a great home life. His
Mm-hmm.
parents were not in a good place. His dad had cheated on his mom many, many times.
Mm-hmm.
So, I
And they
mean,
bought his love.
and then bought his love, which
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't work. If anybody's listening to this, money don't buy love. But I mean, I understand why he has kind of deep-seated issues, but the fact that he was just so selective on taking them out on his partner, you're like,
Yeah.
hey, out of literally all of the people in the world that you could be taking your frustrations out on, it probably shouldn't be the person that you spend like 80% of your time with.
Right. And whose like teamwork will affect your career basically.
Correct. Yeah.
Um and then for him to show up, was it the Halloween party? When they were
With
at
the
the
arm thing.
yeah, at the club. Yes, because she thought it was part of a Halloween costume.
Yes.
He showed up basically saying that Nate or one of the guys
Had
purposely
beat.
left something in the locker room to injure him.
Oh, I thought he got beat up. I did not realize that.
No, yeah. So he said that there was like a spill in the locker room and he slipped on it and fell on his wrist. And he said that the hockey team did it as a prank.
Right, because they were pranksters, which to be fair, I feel like that tracks. If there's gonna be a sports team that's gonna be pranksters, it feels like it'd be the hockey guys.
Yeah, I
But
could see the hockey guys.
yeah, but I mean, I just felt like this is a banana peel moment. Like, are you kidding me? You're really gonna say that you slipped on a banana peel and you hurt yourself? Are you kidding?
Right,
If
it's
you
a
were,
locker room. People shower. I'm sure that there's water all over the floor.
and like they take off their sweaty clothes and drop them on the floor, like there are a lot of fluids all over locker rooms that I have no interest in knowing about. But like maybe proceed with caution, Aaron.
Yeah.
Maybe just like also don't blame everybody else for your problems.
And I really think that the school and the hockey coach did not handle it well.
They
They
did
had
not.
no proof whatsoever. They immediately placed blame and they forced Nate's hand.
Yes. And the coach, whose name I did not write down because I'm dumb, the hockey coach, he had specifically said, if nobody comes forward, no one's playing. And then later it was brought out that the head of the athletics department didn't know that that was an ultimatum that the coach had given. He
Oh,
was
I
like,
think I missed that.
yeah, he was like, I didn't realize that he was going to bench all of you
Hmm.
for this if nobody came forward. So thank you for taking the fall. But it was, I agree. They did not handle it well. There was basically no investigation done. Not to say that
Hmm.
there really needed to be an investigation per se, but
But to
like,
have that drastic of an ultimatum and you have
agreed.
no proof that they were even involved.
Agreed. And now all of a sudden it's 6 weeks out, 8 weeks out, however much it was. And I'm like, are you kidding? Are
Yeah.
you kidding? And Nate, we all know, is a perfect child. He is our perfect book boyfriend, and he would never.
Yeah.
He even was the one that said, we need to put a stop to pranking guys.
And even the hockey coach didn't believe him. He was like, I know you
Really?
didn't do it, but you told me that you did it, so my hands are tied. I was like, then don't do anything.
Right. I'm just glad that he didn't, because he's a true person with great integrity. He did not push it off on Russ or anybody else.
Right.
Like, if anyone's going to take the fall for it, it's going to be me because I'm the captain. And I was
Mhm.
like,
Even though
wow.
it could have jeopardized his NHL career.
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
he
he was
already
already
had,
signed, but
yeah.
they could have easily pulled it.
Yeah, if he like got into trouble like his senior year, they would have been like, you're too much of a liability, bro. We'll find someone else.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But when that happened, I think it really showed you how much Stassi was already starting to care for Nate because she was distraught when she thought that he had
Oh,
sabotaged Aaron.
absolutely. Because he did lie. To be fair, he did lie twice, but not for nothing. They were good reasons. And she had thought I think this was one of the times where she specifically said, you told me you had nothing to do with this.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't. He wasn't lying. But when it took the fall and she freaked out about it, it was another lie to her, which somebody who's been through therapy a lot, I can understand why she'd be like, this is a red flag. The fact that you're lying to me now twice is a red flag.
But she did meet with her therapist after this happened. And again, Hannah, kudos. She wrote a dialogue between a patient and a therapist so well.
Mm-hmm.
So well, with like those open-ended questions. And it really kind of helped you see into Hannah's mind more, but also it helped Hannah problem solve on her own and come to those like conclusions on like herself. And then she was able to make the decisions to like see him. Also, felt really bad that Nate has migraines because I have migraines and I've never blacked out. I have thrown up before, but I was like, holy crap, like that sounds miserable. I can feel that pain in my head.
Yeah, when he was going through it, I was like, oh my God, Haley gets these. I was like, I simply would never. I would just pass away. I would never. I can't. I'm a baby with a headache. If you put a migraine in me, I'm done for.
I mean, I was throwing up at school one day with a migraine.
Absolutely not. I don't know how
Well, I had
people
middle
live
school
this
kids coming in like, I don't feel good. I was like, neither do I.
way. Yeah, you're like, suck it up.
They're like, why are the lights off? Because I have a migraine.
I did not realize also, and to be fair, I'm not a medical professional and I didn't Google it, but I didn't realize that like a migraine could give you that bad of a symptom. I thought he was genuinely dying. I was like,
No.
is something seriously wrong?
And that's why a
Like,
lot of people say, "Oh, I'm having a migraine." And I'm like, "Are you though? Are you having a migraine or are you having a headache?" Because there's a big difference. Like a migraine will give you like other symptoms. Like you've seen me before when like I can't even keep my eyes open and I like have ice packs on my head and I've already taken all my medicine and like nothing's helping. Like that's my migraine and I feel sick to my stomach like I'm going to vomit. People say I'm having a migraine and it's a headache. So I think that that's where like the disconnect is. And I'm like,
yeah,
have you been diagnosed with migraines? No? Okay, that you're having a headache. That's why I tell kids because kids are like, oh, I'm having a migraine. I'm like, where did you hear that? Like,
you're
where did
just
you hear
thinking it's the worst, but it's not.
that? Right. But I do have some kids that have migraines, like diagnosed migraines at school. And I'm like, I feel you, kids. I feel you. Do you want to lay down? Do
Right.
you want me to just call your parents? Do you want to go home? So yes, yeah, that was a legit migraine. Like that sounded like a miserable migraine for Nate.
I mean, the fact that he passed out, I was like,
Mhm. And
excuse
then
me?
Stassi held his head in her lap, even though she was so mad at him. She was also really worried about him.
Yeah, because he's perfect. And she already loved him. She didn't say it, but she already loved him at that
Yeah,
point.
they were in love so early, like so long before they
Right?
actually realized it.
I'm just glad it wasn't necessarily an insta love, but yeah, I mean, they Oh yeah. Way before they said it, I was like, y'all, I don't know if you're seeing this, but I'm seeing this.
You in love. And then after that, oh, that's when Nate was her partner for figure skating.
Okay, can we just real quickly talk about how she tried so hard to get him in leopard
Yes.
leggings? And then he came out and Brady, the coach, was like, absolutely not. You got to put shorts on. I was like, oh, he welling down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, can you imagine seeing a college senior coming out in a leopard tights and you're like, excuse me?
Honestly, when they basically said his dick was too big for leggings, it made me think of that Henry Cavill picture that you sent to our group chat of his magazine cover.
Henry, he does things to me.
Oh my gosh. If you have not seen this magazine cover of Henry Cavill, what magazine is it, Ashlyn? Is it Men's Health?
I feel like it was. Hold please, I can look it up real quick.
He's literally in nothing but underwear. And by underwear, I mean like the tightest little briefs.
Rolling Stone.
Stone.
Man,
Oh my
oh
gosh.
man.
I hope
I'm
they
like,
didn't
is that a
Photoshop this
sock?
picture. But like that's a big package. That's like some gray sweatpants worthy package.
Man, this is also, just for the record, how I pictured Nate. This is how I picture all of my boyfriends.
Yes.
All of them. My both
Henry
boyfriends
Cavill.
are Henry Cavill. And the fact, this is not related, but also related. The fact that they had a big size difference and
Yes.
and that he had a big dick. I was like, you're gonna destroy her.
Like, also, okay, sorry, going back to Act One, when she was like super impatient about them getting off the rink and she was like yelling at them and they wouldn't get off the rink. So she just went out there herself and he was trying to keep up with her and he just freaking grabbed her like she weighed nothing to get her off the ice. Right then and there, I was like, oh, that boy's strong. That boy not gonna have any issues throwing her around. Like,
Right?
Aaron's a little pipsqueak if he's huffing and puffing trying to lift this girl up.
That's and Nathaniel said as much. He said, if Aaron's having any issues lifting you, he needs to work out more. It's not you. And I was like, ugh.
He said he benches more than what she weighs in his warm up.
Exactly. Also, I just, okay, so if you don't know what the cover looks like, it's a cartoon. And I simply need more than this. I'm like, I need you without the hockey uniform because I need realistic pictures of what you two look like. Because no, there's definitely, I mean, he's built based on the description.
Yeah.
This picture does not do him justice. He looks scrawny because the clothes look like
uniforms are so baggy.
They are. And I'm like, no, based on his description, he is Henry Cavill. And she is a 5'4" twig because she's only been fucking eating vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron. Also really glad that toward the end, not skipping ahead, but skipping ahead, that Nate put her on a better diet plan.
Well, that was part of Act Two.
Oh, it is great. So see, I'm not skipping ahead. When
Because
he put on
nutrition
a better nutrition plan. Yes, and sports medicine, they cover all sorts of things.
Right.
But when he put her on the better nutrition, and toward the end, this is definitely Act 3, but toward the end, when he's like, Aaron's like, you've gained weight, and she's like, I've gained muscle, and I'm like, yeah, fucking bitch slap him.
Yeah, because she didn't even realize that she had a toxic relationship with food. And it wasn't a big thing that I realized at first. Like I thought that she was just trying to like not eat a hamburger every day. But no, when JJ started stepping in more too, and they would cook together and do healthy plans, like healthy meals, and Nate was helping figure out her macros and like all that stuff, that was a healthy, supportive relationship. Like the team took her in and like they became a family unit, and I loved it.
They really did. That was probably one of my favorite parts about the whole book, is that she may have lost Aaron, but she gained a whole team of people who are on her team. I mean, and the fact that JJ, he was just a really great supporting character. The fact that he is so diverse, he's pan, he was of some sort of Asian descent because they were making Thai, I
I thought he
thought.
was Indian.
Or Indian. Okay, Indian.
Indian or Middle Eastern. He was something.
And I mean, he supported her, helped her learn to cook. They cooked together in the kitchen. They had a really great banter back and forth. I mean, between him and Henry
Yeah.
and Robbie, but you know, Robbie and Lola were kind of like their own little unit. And then
Yeah.
Henry and JJ were really the two that were there. And
Like
then
her
because they all
guys.
lived together, so they were also
Hmm.
the roommates. But I mean, I loved their
Hmm.
dynamic more than I probably should.
But going back to Nate learning to figure skate,
Nate, yes.
can I say that it was really cute that he was actually trying to learn those moves just to be able to help her with the jumps and the throws and that stuff. Like he was really trying.
He was. I really respect honest yes, he was. He is I was gonna say that I love him again, but I'm trying to refrain from saying it every 5 minutes. He was so supportive of her through the entire book. And then the fact that he was like, I'll help you. I'm benched anyway, so I might as well. And I'm like, and he, to your point, he put his all behind it. He was not half-assing anything. He wanted to make
Hmm.
sure that she got the support that she should have while Aaron is pussyfooting around with his freaking sprained ankle or wrist or whatever. And he's so supportive of her. I really wanted to
Well,
jump ahead, but I'm not going to. I'm going to
I
try and.
know, but we didn't even mention that Aaron came back after just 2 weeks, but then he dropped her.
Yes.
And she had that huge fear of even doing any of the throws. And he took her, Nate, took her to the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And when he lifted her up and held her, and she was so scared, and he was like, "No, do your worst. Try to get out of my hold." And she could not get out of his hands. I was like, oh, that's a man. That's a strong man.
Right? I was like, he is very slowly building up her trust. But the problem is she always kind of trusted him. It was Aaron who she didn't necessarily trust, and for good measure, he's huffing and puffing because he can't lift her. But at least it instilled that she was not going to be as terrified when it came to the lifts.
Hmm.
But yeah, the fact that he dropped her and that basically ruined their whole regionals. Was it
They made
regionals?
it
Was it just
through.
national?
Like,
Yeah, I mean, they still
yeah,
made it through, but the fact that he dropped her
yeah,
during the competition, like it wasn't just a practice.
yeah. It was like competition. He dropped her.
Yeah.
Like that was just, ugh. Okay, I feel like we're close enough. What are you wanting to talk about?
Um, everything. I specifically wanted to talk about the oh no.
Oh,
I think I lost it.
okay.
Well, this is anticlimactic.
Well, I would like to mention that her parents are amazing.
They are.
And
They
it's really,
absolutely are.
yeah, it's really sad that she had the like mental issue of feeling like they were going to abandon her if she wasn't perfect because she was adopted, when
Yes.
really they are just so supportive of her. And I think that just goes to show like you may have perfect parents and it's okay that you may not feel like you can talk to them even though they are perfect. And that's why therapy is so great for everybody, because you may have great
Yes.
parents and you still need therapy.
Yes. And I remembered what it was that I was thinking. And it was because, and this is honestly a great time to think about it because you're at the right place in the book where they're visiting her parents and then they go visit his house in
Mhm.
Colorado and she falls through the ice. That's what I was remembering. And I was
Yeah.
having a whole, because poor baby Henry literally held a
Oh,
grudge against her because he thought he was going to freaking lose her. And I almost cried. I was like, you can't do this to our baby Henry.
our sweet baby Henry.
He can't lose you after having just found you. Okay. You're like a sister to him.
Ashlyn, Nate legit resuscitated her. He
That's
did
what it sounded like.
CPR. He did
That's definitely what it sounded
CPR
like.
on her.
It's a real great thing he's in sports medicine. So
Yeah. Like, this is why I made Matt, like, he's not certified, but he knows how to do CPR just because he's been around me long enough. But I was like, you just never know. You never know when you're going to need it. But this man got her out of the water and performed CPR and then drove her to an ER. Oh my God.
And he did it in such a way that he was clearly experienced. Like
Yeah.
he knew not to get too close to her because he too would go through the ice.
Oh my
Like
gosh, yes.
you could tell that he was like, while he may not have had this exact experience, he was experienced enough to be like, I can't drown myself trying to save her. And
Yeah.
I respected the whole situation.
And
I
that
did.
just, sorry,
You go.
I'm getting real amped up too.
Me too.
Well, I was just thinking that Hannah either knows this kind of stuff or she did enough research to, I don't know if it's correct the way he did it, like distributing his weight on the ice. It sounded correct. So she at least wrote it in a way that it sounded like he knew what he was doing and she knew what she was writing about. Because he was
No,
even saying like
absolutely.
he was laying flat and he was trying not to put too much weight forward. And I was like, it makes sense. But yeah,
And he stayed with her in the hospital and they snuggled on that little hospital bed. And
uh-huh.
I loved everything about it. And I was like, just shout out to being a good guy. Not even just a good boyfriend, but a good guy in general. Like, I have no doubt that if it were a random person, he would have done the same thing.
Yeah. Right. Like even if he had like helped a stranger, I feel like he would have at least stayed to make sure that they were okay.
Yes. Also, bumping ahead, not a lot, but literally a few pages, can we also talk about how they were about to get spicy and she'd gotten out the whipped cream and everything else? And Sasha,
Walking.
Nate's brother or Nate's sister, walks through the door, and I'm like, oh my God, I was ready. I was amped for that scene. And then I was still like riding the high. I was like, this is hysterical that this has occurred. And this is their first interaction meeting.
But then they like hit it off. They
They
became really
absolutely did.
close. And I think it was good that Anastasia already had some kind of backstory on the dad. So she wasn't going
Agreed.
into that meeting blind because I think she dished it out.
She did. No, she absolutely did. And to that point, Nate's dad, who I don't even know if he has a name, but Nate's dad, very specifically toward the end, said something like, she's a strong one. She reminds me of your mom. And I was like, Nate just got his dad's approval on a girl. I mean, not that he needed it, but like it
Right.
doesn't hurt.
And not that it matters because his dad's a dick, but I think that that was good too for Nate to know that he has found a woman who is similar to his mom because the way that spouses have a relationship is different from how their kids see them. So,
Yes.
like, the kids may not have seen that the mom was like so strong willed and like, stood up for herself. They may have seen bits of it, but for the dad to be like, they're actually pretty similar.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did like how they highlight, oh, also there is mentions of cheating, which as I feel like we've
Mhm.
another trigger. But when Nate kind of came to a realization when they had like that really brief talk in the kitchen when he was like, I may hate my dad for what he did to my mom, but nobody hates him more than he hates himself.
Yeah.
I was like, it's a good realization that he had that, just because I do feel like sometimes kids can really put the blame, and not wrong. They're not wrong to put the blame on a parent, but it really kind of helped round out the picture of being like, while I hate him, strongly dislike him, nobody will dislike him for his actions more than he does. And
Yeah.
I just think that's so realistic because it's true. I mean, if I were to do something wrong, nobody's going to hate me more than me.
Yeah.
So it was nice that she kind of highlighted that. And it's not necessarily that he forgave his dad in any way, but just highlighting that, I think,
He's
helps
aware
him
of
to grow.
that
Yeah.
guilt. Yeah. So going to Anastasia's dad, though,
A perfect.
her parents are
Perfect.
so sweet. And her
Yes.
mom just saying that she's so happy that she brought a guy home and she looks happy and he treats her well. And for her dad to be so excited for him. He's even said he's not a hockey guy, but he's going to tell everybody he knows that his daughter's boyfriend is going to play for the NHL and plays hockey, and that
And
he
he
was
was going to go down to the
texting him.
bar.
Yeah, and he was texting him during his game and like good luck. I think that that also helped heal Nate a little bit because I know Robbie's dad was close to him, but to have Anastasia's dad also kind of fill that void of father figure for him, I think that that was so sweet and heartwarming. I was like, oh, he's gonna marry into a great family.
He really is. And we haven't gotten too deep into it, but the things that Aaron said and how his parents, her parents only got her because she's they only love her because she's a skater or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
like she even went in per the request of her therapist. Again, shout out to therapy. She said, Mom and Dad, I don't want to talk about skating because that's all we talk about. And they were like, well, honey, we just thought like that's what we could relate to you on. We thought that's what you wanted to talk about. And they were just so accepting to be like, great, sounds good. We won't talk about it anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
was like,
It was like a weight was lifted off her shoulders.
yes, so simple to just ask for something. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good lesson for anybody to learn. If you want something, just ask for it. The worst that's
What's the
going to
worst
happen is
that's
you're
gonna
going to
happen?
say no,
That's exactly what I was just saying. What's the worst that's gonna happen? They're gonna say no. But
which obviously would never be her parents because they're perfect in every way.
right.
But I agree. I definitely think it was very healing for Nate to see like a true parental figure and how they should be treating
Yeah.
their child.
Supporting with unconditional love and yeah. But yes, let's get into Aaron and all that drama that just like came out of the woodworks when Henry decked him at the party.
Baby Henry coming in for the gold. I love him. Yeah, no, and I love that them as a family, as a hockey team, decided let's try to shield her from the worst
Mhm.
of it. Like she can know that these things like that things were said, but like let's not tell her specifics. And they tried very hard to avoid it. To her point, I understand. I probably too would want to know what my partner is telling all these people about me. And they did it in such a delicate way. And Nate
Mhm.
held her afterwards when she was breaking down because of it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The whole situation, again, it's just such a healthy relationship that I was like, how would I ever settle for something less? This is why I'm single. Because where am I going to find somebody like that?
Because I read books and now my expectations are so high.
They're unrealistically high. So, yeah, no, Aaron is a literal piece of trash. I continuously over this course of the book was scribbling out his name because I hated him every time
Yeah.
he did something. Um,
I think what's worse too is that all this came out and she now knows everything he said about her. And then he came crawling back like he was the victim and she wasn't there for him as a friend when he was struggling.
I'm
And
like,
now
say
they need to go
something.
to couples therapy. It's just, he's so
His
two-faced.
therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, not her therapist, some random therapist that is partial. I mean, I there's nothing again, there's nothing good about Aaron. There's nothing and the fact that when that okay, can I skip like pretty much all the way to the end? Am I
Yeah,
allowed?
let's do it. Let's go.
Okay. So when they did that whole routine flawlessly and he kissed her and all of the shit happened and literally by the time Nate and Stas got back to her apartment, the whole team and Lola were cleaning out her, like all of their shit. I was like, that is the kind of support system you want to have behind you
Yes.
because they literally were like, this is the final straw. We will not accept you to even be in this environment and we're done. We'll find another place to live. And
Yeah.
I think I cried tears of joy, just like happy tears that this was over and that she was healing and have all this big support system behind her.
I think the best part too was Lola was like, "Come on, guys, get that stuff out of that room!" Like she was bossing the boys around.
She was she's got a good personality, very strong, very strong.
But the other thing too, with that kiss that Aaron pushed on her, again, it goes into Hannah's consent stuff, and she's just going to show you a kiss can be non-consensual. Even if it's in a performance like that, they didn't discuss anything ahead of time. He didn't see if she was okay with that happening. He put her on the spot. They were photographing them. And then she's distraught. Like she couldn't even get away from him. She was trying to push him away and he like held that kiss. And then he was saying that she was being over dramatic and all this stuff. And
No.
Nate fucking punched him.
Yes.
And then they had to go in front of the camera and he had an ice pack on his face.
I was like, yeah, that's from her hockey boyfriend. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it was just
her hockey boyfriend could have killed him if he tried hard enough.
because, again, there was no consent in that kiss. And
No,
she was not being over dramatic.
no.
That's just, uh,
And the fact that they'd already been on rocky waters and that she very clearly is in a very established relationship with Nate. Like
yeah.
there's no rhyme or reason where that would have been okay.
And then I think it was right before that when Nate was at his game against UCLA. And it was there that he found out that Aaron actually lied about how the injury happened because he was hanging out with UCLA friends at a bonfire and
Yes.
fell on his wrist.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like this
Mm-hmm.
whole thing was just an elaborate lie
Yeah.
that Nate still took the fall for. It was just, it wasn't like a
Yes.
major plot twist, but it was enough of a twist that I was like, oh, this little bitch.
Yeah, I was like, obviously, we have to find out at some point what actually happened. And
Hmm.
I did expect that it had to do with obviously Aaron did something, but I didn't think it would be him injuring himself. I thought he would
Right.
have gotten beat up by other people because he's a shithead. Um, and I have to say, I think he got off way too easy in the end, having just transferred
Yes.
to UCLA. I was like, are you kidding me?
Like he lied about someone hurting him, basically.
And then had almost the entire hockey team benched, had the captain benched for six
Yeah.
weeks and then 8 weeks, whatever that course was. I'm like, you almost cost this man his future career,
Hmm.
and all that happened to you was basically a slap on the wrist, and you got transferred to UCLA. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I wish there had been more. To be fair,
The only upside was that he wasn't there when Nate was gone. And I think
true.
that was the silver lining was that Anastasia still had a year left of school and Nate was going to be in was he in Canada?
Yes,
Yeah.
it took place in LA, and then he was being transferred to Canada.
Yeah. So, he wasn't going to be just around the corner to look out for her. So I think that was the good part was Erin's gone. She has the support of Henry and like the younger guys and Lola and then they would meet up once
Yes,
it was all said and done.
and the fact that she said, you know what, fuck it, I'm not gonna be in a couple anymore, I'm going single. And
Yes.
she, strong independent woman, boss ass bitched her way in there, got a gold medal, at least one if not more. He was a Stanley Cup winner. I mean, I was real happy with that epilogue, I'm not gonna lie.
Power couple. Even though she was pregnant, you hate pregnant epilogues.
Honestly, I was here for it. I'm not usually, but I was like, I'm happy that they are still together. They weren't married, which I was like, okay, little black sheep, I'm here for it.
Well, it was a
And
legit oopsie.
it was a legit oopsie because she was fucking throwing it up.
Yeah, she threw up her birth control and got pregnant.
Oops.
Oops. The one time she threw it up, he was able to knock her up. So
Very
he's
fertile.
fertile
Very fertile
and
couple.
well endowed and a massive man.
Like, how am I supposed to compete with that? Like, how?
So I really liked the epilogue too because they were just going to keep being together. She wasn't pushing to get engaged. I mean, they did get engaged in the epilogue, but
Yeah, yeah.
it
And
was
then they moved right next to her parents, so they still had that support system to help
yes.
with said child. And the fur baby, which was, she made it very clear that this is my first child, and I said,
Yeah.
that I respect that more than anything, because Jackson will forever be my firstborn.
Right. Like, I have the cats too, but Groot is like my baby. Groot is
Firstborn.
baby. Because the cats are so independent, but like my little wiener dog, he's baby.
Doggies are firstborn, and then children are secondborn
Hmm.
and beyond. um Haley, I love this book.
I know.
I'm gonna have to read it again.
I
Like, it's
can't
gonna be
say
read
enough.
before the end of the year.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things about it because not only was the romance and the spice just spot on, all the little topics, like hot topics that she was able to cover in such a natural way. I'm gonna recommend this book to everybody.
Me too. I have, for those who can't see us because you're not on our Zoom, I have a bookshelf that I keep behind me, and I work from home most of the time, and I change out the books that people see on my shelf because I want to engage in conversation with these people that I only see for 30 minutes to an hour at a time. And I will switch them out on a pretty regular basis. And I am going to put Icebreaker right here in front of the silent patient.
Wow. Wow.
Only because it's been there a while. But
Yeah, I was about to say, I think I've seen The Silent Patient a few times.
you have, yeah. I mean, it's time. I need to switch them out. But
Yeah, so books that you think are similar to Icebreaker?
the deal,
Yeah,
obviously.
The Deal. I mean, like if you're looking for a hockey romance, there's that new book out that everyone's talking about,
Haven't read it.
Pucking
Pucking around.
Around. Yeah, have not read it, but apparently it's MMF, which if you don't know what that means, it's male, male, female, which does mean that there are sword crossing moments where the guys have
Mm-hmm.
moments.
Mm-hmm.
Difference is MMF means that the boys touch because the M's are touching. MFM means that there's always a girl that separates them and the guys don't ever interact that way together. So pucking around is MMF.
Yes, there was another one that Laura just recommended to us, and it
The
also had
Puck
Puck in the
Secret.
title. The Puck Secret. Yeah.
Yeah.
Haven't read either of these. So this is completely, I mean, we have no knowledge of these. So if they're bad, I'm sorry.
Right. But Laura is like a well experienced sport romance reader in our friend group. And so
Which
for
we
her
are
to,
not, yes.
she recommended The Puck Secret. So I'm going to say it's probably a good one.
Me too. All I know is that there is one scene where they play Truth or Dare, and I love that shit. So
Forced
I
proximity in a closet.
not 7 seconds it happened.
What?
But yeah, no, I will probably be reading that one soon-ish. I can't put two sports romances next to each other just because I'm not really that into them
Mhm.
to begin with. But
Honestly, I think hockey is probably going to be like my sport though. Like
oh,
I don't really
absolutely.
like football to begin with. Basketball is fine, but like again, not a fan of. So I think hockey's a good one.
I read one about rock climbing and I hated every second of it.
Rock climbing.
I was like, wow, this is not written well. And also rock climbing. Indoor rock climbing, mind you. It's not like
Oh,
extreme sports. They're
it's
not
not
like
even
out
where
on a
they're
mountain.
like free climbing or whatever with like no ropes out on a cliffside.
You're literally climbing a rock wall. I
No
was like,
thanks.
okay.
Okay, so I think that's honestly, I could talk forever about this book, but I think that that's a good stopping point. I think we
Agreed.
covered a lot.
We
Basically,
did
Nathan is ride or die and forever book boyfriend.
forever. I mean, like if I were a schoolgirl still and I had like a binder or a notebook to
Notebook.
write on, I'd be writing Nathan in hearts. And people would be like, "Who's Nathan?" And I'd be like, "Somebody
No, my boyfriend.
that's not real." My boyfriend. He's really real. He's
He's
really,
imaginary.
oh my gosh.
So, Ashlyn, do you want to talk about what book we're reading next?
Oh, do I? Okay, so buckle up, book bitches. Okay, so have you heard about the Praise book by Sarah Kate? Yeah,
Of
well, we're not
course.
reading that one. We're reading The Highest Bidder, which has recently come out in the past probably month or so, maybe 2 months. This is the fifth book in the Salacious Players Club uh series, and this is about a daddy dom
Daddy.
and a I'm not really sure tbh if she's submissive, but a younger woman. And if you know anything about Salacious Players Club, it is a BDSM not necessarily just BDSM, it's just kind of like a sex book,
Kink. It's like a kink club.
a kink club where people go to get their kinks on. They have voyeurism, exhibitionism, BDSM in between. I mean, there's kind of a little bit of everything. So this is, I'm very excited. The first one, Praise, was a 5 out of 5. I loved that one a lot, a lot. Okay, Haley and I just took a real quick deep dive on the cover artist of Highest Bidder, and he is not American, and I'm a-okay with that because I'm a ride or die for a accent. And he looks really good. He
He
looks
looks just like
really,
the cover.
really good. I happened to just be scrolling on the Goodreads and saw that he was also the cover artist of a book called Take My Daddy, I'll Take Yours by Jenica Snow. And Haley and I did our deep dive, and that is his body on the cover. It is not a
Yeah.
Photoshop. That is his body.
He's got TikToks of him working out.
He's
This
got
cover
TikToks.
model. Yeah.
He's got TikToks. For those asking, his TikTok handle is WAPEPA. I'm not even gonna try and say it. WAPEPA. His I'm gonna say this wrong. I feel bad.
Aguirre.
Aguirre.
It almost looks like
Um,
Aguilar, but it's Aguirre.
sure.
I think it's Hispanic.
So he is Hispanic. So that's what we're reading next, and I am pumped. I've literally had to tell myself, Ashlyn, don't read it yet because you're gonna forget it. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna start reading it as soon as we get off this podcast, and I will have to remind myself everything that happens by the time we record it.
And just so y'all know, The Highest Bidder is scheduled to come out on July 26th. So you have plenty of time, a full month to read it before we actually release the podcast. And, this is a standalone, even though it is part of a book series. And like Ashlyn said, we thoroughly enjoyed Praise. Praise is the very first book. And let me just tell you, if you didn't think that you had a praise kink, you probably have one.
You
Read the
have
book.
one. I didn't think I did, and now I do.
Oh my gosh. The second one, I could leave it, whatever. I have not read the third or the fourth. So I'm just going straight into the fifth book.
Same. And for the record, for those who are curious as to why we picked this book, first off, it's phenomenal. I mean, the whole series. Secondly, it has out of over 20,000 ratings, it has a 4.1.
Wow.
So it's not, I mean, it's not a 5-star book, according to a lot of people, but if you read the reviews, it's worth it.
Yeah.
I would also recommend you probably come to this read A Horny Bitch, because I think it's probably going to be a 4 or 5 on the spice scale.
Either have your partner ready or your inanimate object partner ready.
Yes. All right. Well, Haley, I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
What was something good that happened this month?
We got our Etsy cups that we spent
We
all that money
did.
on. And
Oh my God.
my gosh. So if you didn't listen to the last episode, Ashley and I both bought these laser engraved Stanley cups from this Etsy shop. And I definitely linked her in the last episode in case anyone wanted to go look at the cups. They were a pretty penny. But let me tell you,
A pretty penny.
they are beautiful cups. I use mine every day. I take it everywhere with me. I have people comment on it. I went to get my hair done, and my hairstylist was like, "Oh my God, your cup is so nice. Did you do that design yourself?" I said, "No, that is laser etched." And she was like, "What?"
Right? People are like, "Is that a sticker?" I'm like, "Ain't no sticker, bitch." This is also, I would like to point out that neither Haley nor I are wealthy in any means.
Right.
If you go and look at the cup and you're like, "I can't believe they spent that much money on it," just know that we don't treat ourselves all that often. And this was
a treat.
Yes. It was a treat. Okay. So you're going to be like, "I can't believe they spent that much money on a cup." And now I'm not going to tell you how much it is because I want you to go look at the store. But
I think we definitely mentioned it last episode.
Well, if you forgot, we're not mentioning it again.
You can go look at her Etsy shop. It's linked in our last podcast. But yes, it was great. I gave her 5-star review. It was wonderful. She was so communicative and wonderful, very responsive. So yeah, it's good for her. I will give her that money for that cup.
Right. And she does spend 2 hours per cup. So it's not like the money's not justified.
Right.
Plus the cup itself costs money. So,
yeah. And this Saturday, just so you know, I'm going to Michigan to see Matt's family. Yeah. And we are going for the Cherry Festival and all the fun stuff in Mackinac Island. I'm so excited because by the time I get back, then I'll actually read Highest Bidder, or I might take Highest Bidder on the plane with me.
I can't lie to you. I'm really jealous that you're going to Mackinac Island. I saw a TikTok about it the other day and I
What?
started looking up all things. By the way, they have almost nothing for sale. If they do, it's in the millions.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they don't have many Airbnbs either, only
No,
in
it's
very
hotels.
specific, yeah, very specific points of the island. So I want to know all about your
Oh, yeah.
experience.
There's no cars if they mention that.
No,
You
they
ride a
did. They
bike
were like,
or you ride a horse or
exactly. Yeah, or you come in via private plane because it's not a commercial runway.
no, we're
But you
staying
still
at a
can't take a
hotel.
car after that. You have to take a horse-drawn buggy slash
Yeah.
taxi.
We have to leave the car parked and take a ferry over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm very excited for you.
I will send you all the pictures. I'm really
Yes.
excited for this trip. I've never been to Michigan.
I haven't either. That's one of the few states I haven't been to.
So, Ashlyn, you tell me what was good.
Um, honestly, not a lot. More so excited for our upcoming Choctaw trip.
Oh my God.
Um,
How can I forget about that?
because it's not happening this month, it's happening next month, but still excited for it because I wasn't able to go on this most recent trip due to my father's health. And I am really ready. Love him to pieces. Absolutely would not have I don't regret not going. I would have rather been here, but I desperately need a break from work and life here at home. So I am very excited to go just 3 hours north of us to good old Choctaw and spend no money because I am not a gambler.
So, Choctaw, for those not from Texas, is actually in Oklahoma because Texas does not allow gambling. So gambling or Texas is a no gambling state. So you just drive a little 2, 3 hours up to Oklahoma, and there is a casino right past the border called Choctaw.
Casino
We
and
are
resort, hence why
right.
hence why we're going.
We are going for the food and the pool and the amenities because it's a really nice resort, and we probably will not go to the casino whatsoever. But it's just
Probably
going to be a girls'
never.
trip, Ashlyn and me. Ashlyn's going to leave her
Yes.
dog at my house. Like, Matt's going to have both the dogs. We're just going to go on this girls' trip, eat a bunch of food, read a bunch of books by the pool, and relax.
Yes, I could not be more excited about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that kind of wraps it up. So as a reminder, next book club, if we haven't said it enough, it's The Highest Bidder by Sarah Kate.
Mm-hmm.
Kate with a C, Sarah with no H. Did you know, by the way, it's Sarah Engel's birthday today?
Yes, I already wish her a happy birthday.
Okay, I need to do that. Anywho's, I think that about wraps it up. Any last remaining thoughts or queries?
No, just, we try to stay up to date with the most popular books at the moment. But if there's something that you've heard like really good things about or you want covered on the podcast, please reach out to us. We are on all social medias, Bookaholics Podcast. We even have the Gmail account, bookaholicspodcast@gmail.com. So let us know if there is an up and coming book, or if you are an author and you want to like give us an update that you have a book coming out that you think fits what we read. I am all for that. I'm an ARC reader for several authors. I actually have one right now I'm supposed to be reading and reviewing. So yeah, just hit us up on social media. Let us know what you want to read next, or what's a hot topic that you've seen on Book Talk or anything online.
Absolutely. And everybody else have a superb rest of your June and a great July.
Yeah, happy 4th. We are close
Happy
to
4th,
Independence
y'all.
Day. All
All
right.
right.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.